Hello everyone, my name's Monique Hill, and I live on the east coast of Australia. So welcome to everybody. This is my first astrology video that I've ever done. I've been studying astrology for 39 years, since I was 17 years of age, and I'm very grateful for that, especially when having a Pluto transit to the sun in a lifetime. So this video is all about the transit of Pluto to our natal sun, and being a late Capricorn myself, I think this is probably going to benefit many Aquarians that have Pluto coming towards their natal suns in the next 20 or so years. So when this happened for me, Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008. And so that's 14 years. And today, this video is being made on the 29th of January. And today, Pluto will make its first exact conjunction to my natal sun at 26 degrees 50 minutes in Capricorn. So that's happening a little later this evening. So this is the first of three-part video, and I will do another video in August when Pluto retrogrades back over exactly to my sun, and then I will do another one in December when Pluto moves forward over my sun, never to return again in this lifetime. And as fantastic and as life-altering and as enlightening as Pluto transit to your natal sun is, the lead up to that has been huge for me, absolutely huge. Firstly, Mercury is retrograding over my natal sun as well today. So we have Pluto, my natal sun, and retrograde Mercury today, and Venus is retrograde as well, standing still today, ready to move forward, even though we know no planets go back and forward. It's an optical illusion. So in 2008, Capricorn, Pluto transited into Capricorn. That year was a very exciting year for me. I had been to India 3 times, and when I got back, you could say all hell broke loose. In 2009, I lost my son, and the global financial crisis was going on. And in 2010, I had lost the company that I had built on my own as a single mother. And when you lose the structure of your life, like I did, my business, my son, and my home, my identity, my ID had pretty much started collapsing. We'll say started collapsing. I'm just going to go through the last 14 years. You know, one key word that I would give Pluto initially is loss. So I lost everything, right down to becoming homeless. And I think for my personality, I needed that to happen. I needed all structure, all identification to be stripped, because I was such a resourceful Capricorn with a Leo rising that, you know, I could make anything happen. And it's only in the last few years, last half a dozen years, halfway through those 14 years, that I realized that I'd been operating on my ego. So as I said, 2009, lost my son. 2010, I had to declare bankruptcy through the GFC. And I also moved cities to be with my sisters. And I thought that was the right thing to do. However, moving up there opened up Pandora's box of family dysfunction, family trauma, family codependence. And for me, this Pluto transit has been all about individuating from those systems, those family systems. That's for me. I have a 4th house North Node conjunct the moon. So that's very much one of the evolutionary lessons that I was here to walk through this life, was the individuation from my family. And being a Capricorn, that was rather tricky because we are very family orientated. And I imagine Aquarius will have a whole, and depending on your chart as well, that is something with the Pluto transit, is that many other of the other planets were all activating. I mean, I have this Capricorn sun in the 6th house, and we've just had, you know, in 2020, 2021 lockdown times, we've had Saturn and Jupiter transit through my 6th house and meet up with Pluto. And through my lifetime, I've had Neptune and Uranus transit my natal sun. So as Rick Levine said to me, you know, the Pluto was the cleanup committee as far as my chart goes, because after Pluto moves past my natal sun, there is only there is no other slow-moving planets that will actually conjunct my natal sun. So my whole life has been a Pluto experience. I was born with Pluto conjunct Uranus. I'm a 66 born, opposing Saturn and the wounded healer Chiron in Pisces. I have Saturn in Pisces. So addiction issues were also another area that I've had to look at for a long period of time, since my 20s. So in 2010, as I said, I lost the company. I moved up to my family. And it was very obvious to me that in my time of need and powerlessness, because I was extremely powerless as regards to my family, there were many soul lessons that I needed to learn in that individuation from my family. So, you know, I found that very, very painful. And in 2013, a little bit earlier, I'd started a dysfunctional relationship with a childhood friend, and that was in my 44s, and that was very dysfunctional, highly dysfunctional. But, you know, one of the beautiful lessons that Pluto teaches us is self-love. So everything that I had structured in my life was relative to my ego, coming from traumatic, dysfunctional family, with very low self-esteem. I had more balls than ass, you could say. And my ego carried me through the entertainment industry, many different career choices. I could always pick up and get going. And, you know, Saturn ruled signs, we do carry that constrictive energy. And it's not usually always from outside, it's from within ourselves. And mine was very much connected to my self-esteem. So for a couple of years there, I was very lost. I'd lost most of my belongings, had to downsize and simplify my life. In 2008, when Pluto went into Capricorn, you know, I had a diagnosis for my cervix and my bowel. So for a good 10 years, I was raising my vibration by changing the structures in my life to simplify them, to calm down and attend to my health, because I had built that company on adrenaline, and society and the programming that I was born into was you work your guts out. And funny enough, in 2013, I had 3 hernias sewn up. So I had literally worked my guts out in my life. So coming from work, that's workaholism, that energy, that the adrenaline that drove me, the trauma, the adrenaline, the low self-esteem that drove me. I no longer had access to that, and Pluto was teaching me that was not the right path to success. And I'll speak a little bit more about that later. So in 2015, I finally I moved state, and I finally found a place to rent, and I was all alone. I was all alone. Nobody was coming to save me. And I felt that loneliness for a good 4 or 5 years, living on my own. The family had gone, the son had gone, everybody had gone, and I was just left with myself. And it was, I've become very aware after that dysfunctional violent relationship that I didn't love myself. And I'm very grateful to that person, because it was with that relationship with that person that I was truly shown that I didn't love myself. And that's what Pluto requires us to go deep, 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 deep. Peel that never-ending onion to find the core of ourselves. And when I did that with a support group, a 12-step support group actually, called Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. And I worked from 2017, and I'm still a part of that group, working on the inner child and really unpacking my past. But in unpacking my childhood and my family and my ancestors, because I am Indigenous, I'm Australian Aboriginal, and I knew that there was trauma within me from my ancestors. And so as the empath, as the spiritual seeker of that generation and the first grandchild of that generation, I knew that I'd taken on a responsibility in the spirit realm of working through the trauma from my ancestors, as well as this life now, as well as my soul from many lives, many experiences on this planet. So I worked through the adult child, inner child work, and, you know, really unpacked it, you know, 4.5 years full-time slog. And through that program and the internet, I guess you could say, I started on that journey of self-love. Now, when you're all alone and you feel like you're alone on the planet, there is only one power, and that's the power within. So I had to sit for many years to really form a relationship with that power, so that I become an independent, sovereign soul, interdependent on others, however, not codependent on others. And I think that for me has been Pluto's greatest gift to me, as well as now having the self-esteem and self-love to be able to present this video to you. This year, 2022, I'm launching 2 projects, a meditation and dance school, plus a 7-week online program about speaking to our water, as well as other disciplines that raise our vibrational frequency, the frequency of our vibrational energy. So these are things that I've always wanted to do. I'd been to acting school for 3 years in my early 20s. However, those self-esteem, lack of power issues have held me back my whole life. And today, having Pluto exact conjunct my natal sun, this is a huge step for me to be able to make this video and to trust the 39 years of astrology studies, you know, that I've been very disciplined at. But self-esteem issues also stopped me from practicing astrology, as well as the shame from my family, because I started studying astrology before the internet, and I didn't know many people had studied astrology. So I just was so interested in it, and I was true to myself, and I believed. And in studying astrology, I think that has been 50% benefit to me for this transit, because I would have wondered what the hell was going on. How could somebody have that much bad luck and lose everything? And there was a lot of shame with losing everything, because my family, I came from a family where what you owned, had, and did was the mark of yourself, and people were judged by what they had, did, you know, and the money that they had. So yeah, a lot of big lessons regarding that. When I looked on the internet on YouTube, there's not too many videos regarding Pluto transit the sun. And that's, of course, because only a third of the population get to experience Pluto transit the sun. Pluto takes 265 years to go around its orbit. So not everybody in this lifetime is going to experience the transformation. That's the key word of Pluto, transformation of Pluto conjunct the natal sun. So it's for Aquarians, I'm imagining, or anybody that's going to have heavy Pluto aspects. This video is for you. All right, so I don't want to go on too long. I'm sure by the time August comes, the second transit, the retrograde transit, life will be a little different from me, because I'm definitely stepping out this year, and I'm stepping out in my power. And some days, because of all of the loss and the memory of how things just fell away from me, sometimes without me doing anything, it can be very, very confusing. And in the middle of the transit, even a few years ago, I actually would think, how am I going to get out of this darkness? Because it is a very dark time. And most goals that I had, I just couldn't get them off the ground, and there was a lot of disappointment. But as I kept walking through this transit and doing the work, doing the inner work, and sitting with the self, time has changed, and the different transits that have come along to activate more energy in my life. So Aquarians are a little different to Capricorns, for sure. There's not as much restriction for Aquarians. However, I would imagine that for Pluto transiting the Aquarian sun, it would have a lot to do with the relationships in the collective. If you have family, if family is the work that you'll be doing, family. If it's career, but pretty much everything breaks down. And also relationships, they break down. And it depends on what house, definitely what house Pluto is transiting. Pluto has been transiting my sixth, and the sixth house doesn't have a very good reputation, but it is the house of health, everyday activities. My everyday activities had pretty much stopped. I spent weeks and weeks on my own. The fear, interestingly enough, was very heavy. I didn't trust the world. And this all leads back to disempowerment. It all leads back to the disempowerment. And that's Pluto's job, to empower us to be the best possible person that we can be, with our gifts, our talents activated, because that's what we're here for, is to expand and to grow. However, if we step out into the world to sell our wares, to share our information, to raise our families, if we're coming from a space of what I will call dysfunction, disempowerment is dysfunction, we come across a lot of situations, relationships, circumstances that we don't need when we're empowered. We don't need those. And, society has a hard time saying no and meaning it. And the guilt that can come when we do start to say no is very normal, until we keep practicing to care for ourselves, to serve ourselves, to walk the path that we had intended to walk. But I believe that all of our souls, when we come into this world, knew that we were going to have this Pluto transit. knew that we were going to dig up the past from not only this life, from the DNA of our ancestors, and for many lives past. So I've talked about the sixth house and the pain. I'm going to talk about the pain. At some times during the transit, the pain was so excruciating that I couldn't even explain what the pain was. The process of the Pluto transit is cell deep, very much cell deep. I could feel the energy being released out of my body. Now, remember, I had everything taken from me. If you've got structures set up in your life, families, companies, business, and you're running here and there without stillness, Pluto can't do its work. Pluto needs stillness because it's a very slow moving planet. So we need to slow down to be able to feel. And it's through the feeling that we heal. However, the feeling is very deep. And the feelings that I experienced were all the buried feelings that I had pushed down this lifetime, and the feelings that my ancestors weren't able to express. And the pain some days was absolutely excruciating. Now, one of the other key words for Pluto is death, transformation, rebirth. The three of them are used often. But the death, I'm not ashamed to say, every day for years, I just wanted to die. I cried out to my guides, I can't do this. I can't do this. And my guides would assure me, yeah, you can. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And that brings me to the subject of connecting with your higher self, connecting with your higher angel, to bring your perception of God inside of yourself, because we are all powerful multidimensional beings. But knowing that and feeling that and understanding that is the whole process of the Pluto transit. So it was through the stillness, the pain, the loss, the connecting with my higher self, lots of crying, that I believe I got through this transit, and time, of course, and time. So I'm going to finish this first video here. And I bless you all who watch this. Please share, like this video, or subscribe to the Friends of the Water channel. It's just a new channel, so that down the track, many who are looking for a video on Pluto transit, the natal sun, can get to see this, and maybe it will help them too. Because my main message is, no matter how hard it feels, or how much you want to die and let go, because that went on for many years where I just didn't care. It was a complete surrender. No matter how much and how painful, you will get through. Pluto is very small, very slow. It's kick-ass. So congratulations to me for making it to my first Pluto transit. And I must admit, I think this year is going to probably be the easiest year out of the last 15 years. It's very unusual to me that as soon as Pluto went into Capricorn, it started. The energy started, the loss started, the pain started, the crazy started. And then now, when there's the actual conjunction, it's almost like a lot of the work has been done. And now what I have to do here on out is to walk in my power. And with that, namaste, bless you all, and thank you for listening.